I'd like to thank the Minister for his introduction. That was very, very clear. I do have some problems with the whole process. I'd like to support the idea of the funds going to remote electronic monitoring. I think that's very sensible. It might be the way that some smaller fishers only can manage to do that. I would like to say that I believe that UK fishing is in good health, and I'd like to believe that the government is actually world leading on this, but I'm afraid that's a rather tired, overused phrase at the moment, and this is not world leading. Admittedly, I don't know much about what other countries are doing, but I can tell you from a green point of view, this is not sustainable. Fishing is an important part of our economy, particularly for coastal areas and for our food supply. And so really what we should have been hearing now is that the potential environmental disaster that's on the horizon is going to be fixed. Quite honestly, it's only tolerated because it's largely unseen. Most people don't know what goes on. For example, disturbance of the bottom ecosystem. I mean, that's disastrous, and that happens from beam trawlers. And I'm not sure if any sort of, I would be interested to hear if any recognition of that is happening. And then, of course, marine plastic pollution from the sacrificial wear of beam trawlers. That's a huge issue that I haven't heard discussed yet. And fuel consumption. If you look at the fuel consumption of the average large boat, it averages about 2 litres per kilo of fish landed. And that makes it 2 or 3 times as bad as air freighting vegetables from Kenya, which we all know is a very bad thing. And I'm curious about why day boats get so little of the quota. That really doesn't seem fair. For example, in the southwest, the huge majority of beam trawlers are owned by just 2 companies, Carrots in Brixham and Stevens in New Lynn. I just don't understand how that can possibly help the smaller local companies. And is the government doing anything to actually think about those people? I'm also interested in what a marine reserve actually means and what's banned there, because sometimes it doesn't seem very much, and obviously reserves are incredibly important. And then, of course, this is all without the sustainability or otherwise of the catches, and that's why the remote electronic monitoring is going to be so valuable. Now to the regulation itself, I do want to thank Green Alliance and Client Earth for pointing out their concerns, which I share. So while I welcome the exclusions set out in Regulation 5, including that the grants may not be used to increase the fishing capacity of a boat, I think there's been a missed opportunity to transform the way that we support the fishing industry financially to deliver climate-smart fishing. These technologies are available, and really they should be very high on the government's to-do list. It's about more sustainable fishing practices and ocean recovery. Section 33 of the Fisheries Act permits the Marine Management Organisation to place conditions on the payment of grants. However, there's no, and I think the Noble Lady McIntosh also pointed this out, there's actually no environmental conditions on payments. Now that seems to me astonishing when the climate emergency is very, very with us and an urgent issue. In order for financial assistance to promote positive fishing practices, the regulation should be amended to include conditions on the provision and use of grants, for example, to encourage investment in more sustainable fishing gears that don't damage the wider marine environment, to help fishers adapt to technologies for efficient data collection, and for restoration schemes and the collection of marine waste by fishers. I mean, the Noble Lord, the Minister, talked about clean, healthy, productive, biodiverse activity, but actually it's got to be sustainable as well. And at the moment, I think sustainability cannot be predicted or guaranteed with these measures.